Came together, bro. Worked out, bro. This was a crazy week, and I just want to give a shout out to the guy in the position now. You know what I'm saying? Game ball to AP, man. Hey.
There's been a lot going on, you know what I'm saying? A lot of attention, a lot of different positions, but we all know the toughest position to play in this game is quarterback. I think we need to show some acknowledgement to One more.
Where's Champ Kelly at? Champ, we've been talking since day one.
No doubt.
Now we're here. Now, AP, all of us, bro, this is the beginning. Like you said, excuse my language. Like the stuff, have fun, and I get.
Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle, and Ryan's is RHOLM22. No cigars needed, I guess, but I mean, hey, there's no more cigars left in Vegas right now after the locker room celebration that the Raiders had after they beat beat Denny Dimes and company at Allegiant Stadium. Ryan, how you doing today?
Doing good. Just got done watching the All-22, all the offense and defense for the last 2 days.
So it probably wasn't the best All-22 you ever seen in your life, but it still is probably much better than the Lions one, right?
It was light years better than the Lions. So
let's
on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, let's just dive right into it. Let's go with the coordinators, Bo and Patrick here. So let's start off with Bo. It seemed like when you watch the game, obviously they had some flow to the offensive. A flow. They had flow. They had a plan. They were able to, make checks at the lines, all those things like that. They went to some zone blocking stuff. It looked like for Josh Jacobs, he looked more comfortable and he was just doing his thing. Too bad he got that one tackle for loss on that one play to get him under 100 yards, but I think he'll take 98 in the game he had this week. What were your thoughts about watching this offense?
Yeah, and they've been trending to a more of a zone team over the last few weeks, so they started to do that under McDaniels. That's not new to Bo Hardegree taking over. They just don't have the bodies and the strength, especially in the interior offensive line, to be a power scheme. And I think not having Jacob Johnson kind of changed how they call the game. It's something we've been talking about, getting into more 11 personnel, 12 personnel, like getting the fullback off the field because it's a tell. And not having him on the field, I think, helped them run the football when they got into some of those zone runs. They tried to attack the perimeter to get away from Dexter Lawrence because the big man in the middle, they didn't want to run it up in there. And then they kind of got creative where they used Mutai as a fullback on the goal line. They motioned Mayer back in as a fullback at times. They used a lot of insert blocks where they had a guy come in motion, whether that was a tight end coming across the formation. Jacoby Myers did it at times. And they even lined up Myers as kind of an H-back in the red zone on the ball that went to Mayer out in the flat where he got tackled at the 2. That ball was designed to go to Myers. And Hunter Renfrow got open on the backside too. So there was a little bit more creativity without having to have 45 on the field. And then I think in the pass game, there was a plan. There was some adjustments and some adaptability to some of the stuff that Josh McDaniels was calling. And then they would run something else off of that look. And that definitely happened on that first drive on the jet sweep to Jacoby Myers. They've used that look where they motion him in, kind of align him just outside the tight end or just inside the tight end and insert him as a blocker, and then quickly run him out on that jet sweep. There was a plan for DeAndre Carter. They got the ball in his hands a couple of times. There was a plan when they put Trey Tucker on the field to get him the ball. There was a plan to get Hunter Renfrow a couple of catches. So it was good to see that when those guys were on the field, there was a game plan to use them and get them involved. It wasn't like, let's roll them out there for 3 plays and see what happens, like you saw with Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I mean, it my biggest thing was just like it looked like there was something that they're doing something to help the young quarterback, opposed to the first meeting. Like, they were able to get him some throws, get him some confidence. Obviously, come out and run the football with Josh Jacobs. So, I mean, that gets you a brownie point right there. Like just looking at what was done in the past. And hey, I'm gonna run Hoss Juke. I bet you he's probably at home saying, "That's my Hoss Juke. That's not your play. That's my play." But
They ran it a couple of times.
he ran a couple of times. So it was just, I mean, we just want to see flow and see it like look good. And once they scored that first touchdown, they kind of had a little bit of a lull. But once they got the score was the 14-0, then they got the pick and then they hit the bomb. It just seemed like they were. I love I mean, I'm always gonna love. You go for a big play or have like a specialty play ready when you get a quick change, like a turnover. So that was cool to see as well.
I think it's exciting to see some of the wrinkles in the adaptation. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself because Aiden O'Connell threw 10 passes in the first half and it was 24-0. So they didn't really ask him to do a ton.
Yep.
He made the right reads. He got the ball out on time. He didn't take any sacks. He didn't turn the ball over. Those are all positives. We'll see what happens with the play calling when it's a tighter game, when it's longer down the distance, when they have to attack early, when they can't just rely on the run game and the defense. But overall, it was fun to watch on film compared to the slop that Josh McDaniels was running out there for the first 8 weeks of the season, where he just kept hitting his head on the wall and just trying to run the same thing over and over and over again. And it wasn't working. He just kept trying to do it, and he didn't try to adapt. So that's on Josh McDaniels, and I'm glad that there was a lot more motion out of Hardegree too that I noticed. Guys were going in motion pretty much every play, whether that was a wrinkle, whether that was a throw off of coverage, identify what the coverage is to the quarterback. It seemed to be there was a rhyme or reason to moving guys around. And we saw Jacoby Myers get open a couple times inside on slants or juke moves. And Aiden O'Connell's pretty accurate on those slant passes. And when you have teams that are dedicating 2 guys in coverage to Devontae Adams, which the Giants did a lot of, getting those other guys open quickly and getting the ball in their hands where they can run after they catch is huge. And there was plays designed for that, whereas with Josh McDaniels, they would just try to take deep shot after deep shot, long developing routes. That didn't really happen in this game. It was get the ball in and out of the quarterback's hands, get it to guys in space, and let them pick up yardage.
I mean, yeah, it just looked a lot better. And I'm not, like I said, I totally like, I'm happy for this group. They got a chance to celebrate a little bit and show what they can do. But like you said, I'm not gonna, it's not, this is, we didn't see Bill Walsh call this game. So let's just chill out a little bit. But
I would flip to the other side of the ball and say Patrick Graham showed way too much. He entered the holster in the fourth quarter, like running stuff he hadn't run all year, getting sacks. And it's like, okay, you're up 27-6. This guy's not moving the ball. And he had some really nice blitz packages where they would send pressure, where they would show 7, they would drop out, they'd bring 4. They brought Hobbs. They would bring when Merritt got his sack, and they would like spin it into like cover 2 when they were showing basically a 7-man pressure and just stuff that he hadn't done all year, where he was basically running cover 3, cover 4, some cover 1, wasn't really blitzing. When he brought a 5th guy, it was a linebacker. And I'm watching the film going, why didn't we save this for the Chiefs? Like, why are you putting all of this on film when you don't need it in the last 5 minutes of a game you're winning 30-6? But they got 8 sacks. It was fun to watch the defense run around and make plays. There was a lot of times when they would bring pressure. They would kind of play this 3 deep, 3 under coverage. So they would bring 5, and then you kind of have a guy in each flat underneath, a middle defender, and then you'd have 3 deep defenders, almost like cover 3 umbrella at the top. And people were complaining on Twitter, if the pressure didn't get there, this guy in the over route's wide open. Well, when you only have 6 guys in coverage and they're basically assigned to a section of the field, guys are going to get open if the pressure doesn't get there. They're not running across the field with the routes. They're not playing man. It's a fire zone coverage. So there was these 2 guys in my Twitter mentions, like kept getting notifications, just going back and forth about it. It's like, guys, they won 30-6. They got 8 sacks. That over route that comes open takes 5, 6, 7 seconds to get open. The pressure's there. So what's the problem here?
Yeah, I just that's
There's a lot of
yeah.
bickering, believe it or not. When they won 30-6, like you would have thought they would lost with some of the conversations that are going on in my mentions
Really, that's good.
yesterday and today.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So I mean, like listen, I'm not sure. Like, I think old Patrick Graham wanted to, I think PG wanted to pad the stats a little bit. You know, what I mean, he almost got
He
a
did.
shutout. He almost had a shutout. He was sick of having the reins being held back, saying, "Hey, make sure we're conservative here. Make sure we don't give up a big play." All those things like that. So good for him. But yeah, I mean, save those for like some of the more talented offenses in football. You might need
Save
some.
it for like 3rd and 8 against the Chiefs when you haven't shown it all year.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta do something like that. Let's see here. So Aiden O'Connell did not really like they could have pushed it if they really wanted to. In some moments, like they had some 3rd and 1s, they had some short yardage plays where they could have play action and kind of get some more throws in for him, but it was more like it made sense to be like you're up by 20, you're up by 20, you're up by 3 scores. What don't push it. Just the defense is playing well. Don't upset them by having them come on the field and having to play some extra snaps. Just run the football, run your stuff, and as long as the drive ended with a kick, you were good to go. What were your thoughts about Aiden O'Connell? I thought he just looked comfortable. It kind of looked similar to the way he looked when he was at Purdue in the shotgun, just making checks at the line, getting rid of the ball quick. It kind of seems like that's what he does best.
Yeah, I think that it's one thing when he's looking at the defense, it's not a traditional defense. They're not going to line up how you would expect them to because they're always rolling coverage to Devontae Adams. So I think there were some times where he got off some reads pretty quickly, where he didn't really know where that safety was going. But he identified who would be open, and he got through the progressions rather quickly and got the ball in his hand. So he didn't hold on to the ball like he did against the Chargers. There's some throws he probably wants back in this game. There's some throws that if the offensive line or if he didn't have to get rid of the ball because of some pressure, he could have thrown a couple of touchdowns. Hunter Renfrow got open a couple of times over the middle against some cover 0 looks, but he's going to have to start understanding when that safety is shaded to Adams, like it's almost like a 2-on-1 and try to find other guys. He took that shot down the sideline to Adams where he shouldn't have really thrown that ball, and Adams got hit pretty good. But I think as the game went on, he got more comfortable with the looks that the Giants were showing him, and then the fact that they were up and they could run the ball, and there really wasn't any pressure to convert and move the ball down the field and push the ball down the field allowed him to just get the ball out of his hand, distribute it like a point guard. And I'm really curious as to what the game plan will be against the Jets coming up this week because they're going to be aggressive, and I really expect them to run the football almost to a nauseating amount where the Raider fans we're going to get upset. Like, throw the ball down the field, stop running the ball. But against that front and that secondary, he can't draw back and try to push the ball down the field because you're going to get sacks, you're going to get turnovers. So the ball's got to get in and out of his hands quickly, and they're going to have to run the football. This is probably a game where you're going to see some wide receiver screens, you're going to see some running back screens, maybe a couple tight end screens, where they're going to have to slow down that pass rush of the Jets. But overall in this game, I would give Aiden O'Connell a solid B. He didn't do anything to hurt the team in this game. He was able to convert some 3rd downs. He made some good reads, got the ball, like I said, out of his hands quickly, and got it. He was fairly accurate and got the ball in the hands of the right people at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to kind of play that way with him. I mean, I felt comfortable. I felt comfortable watching him. So I know for him, he must have felt comfortable in the pocket. He looked more comfortable. And I think the more reps he gets, the more comfortable he is. I don't think he's the quarterback of the future. So let's put that out there. But doesn't mean that it's not a good thing to have him on the roster. So if the Raiders do go out there and get a 1st-round quarterback or a 2nd-round quarterback and they compete, that's always, competition is always a good thing. So I'm not gonna be bad. I'm not gonna be mad about that part of it. Anything else from the Giant game you want to talk about as far as what they did?
I think Tyree Wilson had his best game to date.
Okay.
Very physical in the running game. Got a half a sack, but he got around the edge there on Thomas to beat him. The pass rush moves are still it's a long ways away. He really is just a bull rusher, and he's just trying to beat a guy and get off of him. But I think in the run game, we're really starting to see him understand the blocking schemes that are coming. I thought Nesta Jade Silvera had some really good reps against double teams. And the Raiders have had a ton of trouble just stopping the run and holding up in the middle and allowing those linebackers to run free. So it was encouraging to see that. I don't know how you can watch the film of him and then play Byron Young over him, because Byron Young hasn't had a single rep like that all year. And then you throw on the tape, there's 3 or 4 plays where Silvera, he's holding up 2 guys. He makes a tackle on one of them. I thought Bilal Nichols had a pretty good game. Jerry Tillery got washed out a couple of times. But overall, I thought the defensive line and the offensive line really took the challenge from the coaching staff, and they really balled out this week. It was a good game for both the offensive and defensive line, and they're going to have to carry this team.
And that's one of the things that we would that I would be like, I would just walk around. I'd be on the elliptical, and I'm saying to myself, why draft these guys and just not play them in a position of need? Like, you should be like playing all of them. Like, I'm not sure why Nesta Severo couldn't get on the field. He let people know on Reddit, or whatever. What his little,
that was IG Live, I think.
IG Live was IG Live. I saw it on Reddit. So, but yeah, it was pretty funny that he was commenting on it. But it made sense, man. Like, I mean, a player is going to gravitate towards the guy who gives them the opportunity, right? I mean, it makes sense. Like, I mean, anybody, any job would do so. So I totally understand his level of frustration as far as that goes. Let's see here. So we have Kelsey from the 902 says, do we believe that this whole thing with AP is fool's gold? I think it's too early to kind of tell whether or not it's fool's gold, but I mean, I think the players right now are in that mode where they're saying to themselves, like, he's an NFL player. Like, you don't got to be a great NFL player. Kevin O'Connell's not a great NFL player. I think people kind of gravitate towards that. If you're not a college player or a NFL player, you got to be smart as a whip, and you got to have a really good scheme. You know what I mean? Like, you got to really blow their mind with what you do on the chalkboard and really make them feel like they're going to be able to capitalize on your scheme, and it's going to help them make plays and make money and all things like that. Or you're feeling about the fool's gold comment about Antonio Pierce?
It's an interesting choice of words. It's one game. He rallied a team that really hasn't looked prepared all year, and they just came out and they took the Giants behind the woodshed. The Giants are a bad football team, but they just lost to the Bears 2 weeks ago. And depends on what your expectations are of this team. If there's people out there that are still playoffs, 10, 11 wins, if those are your expectations, you're probably going to be disappointed when we get into early January when the season wraps up. If you're looking for a team to come out and play with heart and fight and battle, then Antonio Pierce is your guy. He's going to lead those guys. They are going to fight for him. The question is going to be, let's see what he does in a tight game when he has to make clock management decisions, when to use his timeouts, when to go on 4th down. What happens when he goes on the road and he's down 14-0? How do they respond? We don't know the answers to any of those questions. No. We know that he could stand on the sideline when his team's kicking the crap out of the other team and look good, but most people could do that. But kudos to him on a short week, new coordinator calling plays on offense, a quarterback that's a rookie that's being thrown out there as a starter, and getting the locker room to respond, because the locker room could have just said, you know what, this is it. We got an interim coach. McDaniels and Ziegler are out of here. They brought me in here, and almost Nick Van Exel with your Lakers shirt, I'll give you a 1, 2, 3 Cancun. They could have done that. They didn't do that. This team is still fighting, so that's good.
They did, no question about it. Keyshawn from he's out in New York. Will this surge? I mean, he's worried that this surge, a possible surge by the Raiders, will hurt their chances to get a young quarterback. I trust me, I think about that pretty much every day. But I will say, like, we don't know who officially is coming out. It sounds like a lot of guys are coming out, so it looks like there'll be enough prospects where if no matter where they are on the draft board, they might have to move up to get them. I mean, the ideal situation would be to not have to like be able to draft him without giving up any assets, right? But if you have to give up assets, it don't matter. Like, go get your guy. So I'm not gonna say it hurts them, but like, it's, it all depends on how much this run is. If they go win 11 games, then something else. But I mean, like for me, I can't worry about that right now because I don't know who's coming out, and we got to see what the final record for these Raiders are this season.
I look at it two ways. If the thought process is Drake May or Caleb Williams, you can already put that to bed. They're not getting either one of those guys. They're not going to be in position to pick in the top 2 or 3. And if they win a couple of more games, you're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a pick from 9 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say they end up with a 12th pick. To move from 12 to 2 or 12 to 3, probably unlikely because it's probably going to cost you 3 first-round picks and some other assets. And I don't think the new regime, let's say it's Champ Killer, even a new regime comes in, I don't think they're going to do that, to just basically say, we're going to put all of our eggs in this one basket, our first move, and if it doesn't work out, you're going to lose your job. If the thought process is, can we get Bo Nix, can we get Michael Penix, can we get JJ McCarthy somewhere in the middle to back half of the first round, you're still going to be in play for that. The flip side is, if this team does go out and win, let's just say they end up 9-8 or 10-7, that means Aiden O'Connell played pretty well. Not saying he's the answer and he's the guy that's going to stand up there and go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes for the next 10 years. He probably will earn the opportunity to go into next season as the starter.
Yep. We'll see. We got was Derek wants to know, was the locker room celebration a little bit too much? I would say no, because we don't know how toxic that environment was. So
exactly,
let them do that.
Let them be.
If you remember, when the Saints used to have the little club with the smoke and like Sean Payton dancing and that was every week. So every week they won. So
the Bears did too.
Years ago. So that's cool. So let them do it. It's fun. Michelle, from 9.
I would add, I think that shows you just how bad things were.
Yes, it does.
That they celebrated to that extent. More of it's belief in, hey, these shackles are off of us now. We can be ourselves. We don't have to be the Patriot way 24/7. We can actually go out and enjoy ourselves. And just, you have to think about the last 2 weeks and this week, everything that happened to this team. Yeah. Now, are they going to celebrate that way every week? I don't think so. If they win this week, I don't think you're going to see the same thing in the locker room. But it's a culmination of everything that's happened in the last 22 months or however long Josh McDaniels was running the Raiders. And you can tell these players may say publicly, yeah, we like Josh, he's a good human, but they hated playing for him. You can tell that.
Yeah, exactly. He may be a nice guy, but they hated playing for him. Nesta, Michelle wants to know about did we see Nesta's comments? Yes, they were funny, and it was just like one of those weird things. We talked about that already. Thank you guys for the comments. So keep sending the text messages in. Let's preview the Jets. Thoughts about the Jets. We know about what they want to do. As far as offense, what they do on offense, Hackett. West Coast offense, wide zone running plays, all that play action stuff, whatever. It didn't work this week against the Chargers, but we know that they're gonna run the ball a lot. Both teams are gonna run the ball a lot, and then whoever blinks and turns the ball over, that's who's gonna lose this game.
Yeah, you have to stop the run. If Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook get going, and the pressure is not on Zach Wilson to make plays, they're just going to turn around and hand the ball off. So the Raiders have to stack the line, take away the run, but they have to know where Garrett Wilson is at all times. So you may see what happens to Devontae Adams. The Raiders should do that to Garrett Wilson. Roll coverage to his way. Make Randall Cobb or Allen Lazard or some of these other receivers beat you. Make Zach Wilson make plays. But you can't let the running game get going, because here comes the play action, here comes the bootleg. Zach Wilson's fairly athletic. He can get out, he can run, he can scramble. The offensive line for the Jets is a mess. So if the Raiders' defensive line plays as well as it did last week, they can get to him if it's 3rd and long, and he will turn the ball over. He will take sacks, but it can't be 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and things like that, because then the Jets are going to be able to move the ball down the field. offensively for the Raiders, they have to have the same game plan. They have to run Josh Jacobs. If Aidan O'Connell drops back 30 times in this game, the Raiders will lose this game.
Yes.
Because that defensive line is ferocious. The linebackers can run when you have C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams. And then you have Sauce Gardner out there on the edge, and they got a pair of good safeties. So they're probably going to let Sauce go one-on-one with Devontae Adams. So you're not going to see a lot of those coverage roles that you normally see.
Mm-hmm.
The O-line's got to pass protect. When they get into 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, they can't have a ton of penalties. You can't get into 2nd and 20 against this defense.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be series, like I said, where they should take the air out of the ball. If they need to run the ball on 2nd and 15 to try to set up a 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, and punt the ball. Punting the ball with A.J. Cole in this game is not an L, but the defense has to show up. So they need to have complementary football. Stop the run the football, don't turn it over. It's going to be an old school football game, and then you have the punter that can flip the field at any time. When you're averaging 64 yards a kick, let that dude kick the football.
Yeah, and I think from the outside part of it too is there is that rumor or that conversation that Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back, possibly coming back. I don't know. He's
not this week.
He said, well, not this week, but he's talking about a couple of weeks. So if they want to just tread water or just stay at 500 in case he comes back and has that miracle, whatever he's taking to get that to come back, let it happen. Good for him. But I would if they want any chance they have, I mean, so any chance they have to come back, that he might have to come back. It because for them might be a dream scenario for them. I would say that, and also I just don't know if Wilson is a guy who I feel like Max Crosby is just gonna love. I think Max Crosby he holds it a little bit too long. He moves laterally in the pocket. He does he is an athlete, so I'm worried about his running a little bit because our linebackers, we have to always constantly worry about our linebackers. But to me, I think it's a winnable game, but I think they're looking at that way too. And it's going to be a game where, I think Mo Moulton put out 17-13. I think 12-9 could even be. This is going to be an ugly game. This is going to be, if you got any fantasy players, in this game, I would just throw them out the door. And put them back for next week. It's going to be a really ugly game, but the defense, Patrick Graham they have to be solid with their tackling because Breece Hall is that kind of back who can go 20 carries and give you, 160.
Yeah, neither team stops the run. So whichever team decides to stop the run, the Raiders are at home. Hopefully the crowd is loud. I would also watch for them in the passing game because the Raiders aren't very good covering running back side of the backfield. A lot of that's by design because they're playing a lot of cover 3, cover 4. They're trying to take away the deep ball. But if you let Zach Wilson just check the ball down 10 times to the backs and you don't tackle, Breece Hall is gonna have a day out of the backfield. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think it's low scoring. I do think that the Raiders can take calculated shots on the right down and distances, try to push the ball against certain looks. But like I said, I'm also probably not going to get too upset if they just turn the ball and try to make this, a Josh Jacobs game where he carries the ball 25 times and they throw a lot of screens to slow down that pass rush. Because that like I said, that Jets defensive line, and they're 8 deep. Like they're going to come after him.
Yeah.
Maybe you catch them in the right blitz. Maybe they do roll some coverage. It's going to be a big game for Hunter Renfrow. It's going to be a big game for Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers. Those other receivers are going to have to make plays because I just don't see Devontae Adams, having 8 for 100 and 2 touchdowns in this game. Sauce Gardner is an all-pro. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe a special teams play. Kick the ball in the end zone. I know the Raiders didn't do it last week. Do not give up field position. Just kick the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, because you're basically one TFL on first down to getting the ball right back. Like, if you win first down against the Jets, you're good to go. You have to worry about that as well. I would say definitely also the screen game could be a big factor here as well because they want to get those backs to football. Their best offensive weapon is Breece Hall, so you got to watch him come out of the backfield. Let's see here. Any other news and notes before we do predictions on this game? Or for the Raiders. And then anything about the preview that you're worried about with the Jets?
Yeah, the pass rush. I'm worried about that pass rush.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. They do a good job, man.
You can't
I
really
mean,
double anybody.
yeah, you
So
can't. Yeah.
those guys up front are going to have to win. They're going to have a plan for Quinn Williams on the inside. But then you have Jeremiah Johnson coming off the edge. You have Bryce Huff coming off the edge. So they have some guys that can get out there. Franklin Myers, big guy that can stop the run, has some pass rush. They have Will McDonald, the first round pick, coming off the bench. Carl Lawson, if he's active, can be an active pass rusher. So get the ball in guys' hands in space. Get the ball quickly to guys on the perimeter. And just if the Raiders need to tackle well in space, stop the run, then they should be okay.
Yeah. Should be a fun game. Sunday Night Football. It's nice to be able to run out, do what you got to do for the day, and then come back and watch your game on Sunday Night Football. So that's always a good thing. I'm going to pick the New York Football Jets to win this game. I'm going to do that. I just feel like the offense will make one mistake that'll cost them the game. I just have so much respect for this defensive unit. I can't see the Raiders going turnoverless in this game, if that's a word. It's not even a word, but I just like to saying it. But I don't know. I don't think get through this game without turning the ball over. And I know they're playing Zach Wilson. I get it. He might give them the ball too. But I think it's hard against this defense. I'm not saying got to play perfect, but you really got to play really close to perfect to really be able to beat this team. And I would say it could be close. I would say let's go with 16-13, something like that, around that. I just feel I think it's gonna be some. I mean, I don't see a lot of points in this game. If this game turns out to be both teams score 20 in this game, I'd be shocked. I really think it's gonna be a low scoring ball game.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way. I think what I saw on tape gives me a little glimmer of hope, and then I just think the worst unit on the field is the Jets' offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
They're not very good, and they have to figure out how to block Max Crosby. I think the running game gets going from the Raiders. The Jets aren't good at stopping the run either. So if the Raiders can just stick with the game plan and run the ball, if you have to punt the ball a couple times, do it. I think they put together just enough drives, and I think they get a defensive score. I think Zach Wilson will throw a pick six in this game. I'll take the Raiders 20-13 in a low scoring game.
20-13. Well, but yeah, you gave them defensive touchdown. So okay, I was gonna say you
I did give them a defensive touchdown.
You gave them defensive.
This will not be the game where they're going up and down the field and they have to settle for 4 or 5 field goals in the red zone, where they can hold the ball for a long amount of time. So AJ Cole's probably going to be busy in this game. The punter for the Jets, I think it's still Morstead's going to be busy. Maybe there's a big return by one team or the other. This is going to come down to protecting the football, special teams, and running the football.
I would say too, watch Trey Tucker. It just takes one, and a game like this, at this close, he has that kind of speed that can get behind anybody. Just that one Trey Tucker play or just one pass play could be the difference between the Raiders winning and losing here. In this game,
I will give a bold prediction. Yes. Michael Mayer scores his first touchdown this week.
No more two-point conversions for Mike Mayer. Mike Mayer wants that touchdown. He is the catch when he's going backwards. Like he just some players just want contact. Michael Mayer wants contact when he catches the football, so that's always fun.
So I'm giving you a Mayer touchdown, a defensive touchdown, 4 special teams, and 2 field goals.
I'm giving you a Raiders loss because I think they're gonna lose the game.
I'm going to the game. I cannot predict.
I know you're going to the game. Well, I would say I do think Tucker can make a play in this game that could swing it in the Raiders' favor if the Raiders are gonna win that game. But it's gonna be close. We're really, really close game. It would be a big win for them, and this will be 4 straight home games. But the Raiders, when's the last time the Raiders won 4 straight home games? That's you gotta go back.
I'm guessing 2016 would be my guess. I could be wrong.
But
you're picking Zach Wilson on the road.
I mean, I don't trust. I think the best unit and I'm going with the Jets as the best unit on the field. So I think they'll make a play that gives the Raiders, and I'll give the Jets an opportunity to maybe kick a game-winning field goal late in the game. 13-13. a strip sack. They force a fumble on a reception. Like they're that good defensively. Where I feel like that
You're
can
giving me
happen.
Hunter Renfrow nightmares of the Cardinals game last year. Was that when he fumbled in overtime and they ran it back? Don't do that to me.
Yeah, that ball was behind him.
That'll be a long drive home Monday morning if that happens.
that ball was behind him. That ball was behind him. Wasn't Hunter's fault. All right, Ray Nation. Take care. See you next time.
Take care.
Cheers.